Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a huge disconnect in the world of AI. I mean, despite all the incredible hype and billions in investment, most companies are seeing almost zero benefit from generative AI. We're going to break down why that's happening and, maybe more importantly, what the winners are doing differently. Let's jump in.
So, companies have poured a staggering $40 billion into generative AI. And get this, a full 95% of organizations are seeing absolutely zero return on that investment. This isn't just, a slow start. It's a sign of a much, much deeper problem.
And this is exactly what researchers from MIT's Project NANDA are calling the GenAI Divide. It's this massive gap between the tiny fraction of companies, just 5%, who are getting real, measurable value from AI, and pretty much everyone else who are just spinning their wheels.
So what does it actually feel like to be on the wrong side of this divide? Well, it's this really frustrating world of high adoption, everybody's using it, but surprisingly low transformation. Nothing's really changing.
Okay, this slide is a real reality check. When researchers measured actual market disruption, only 2 industries, tech and media and telecom, showed any kind of significant structural change from AI. Every single other major sector, barely moving the needle. This quote just nails it. It comes from a chief operating officer in manufacturing, but honestly, it's a feeling you hear across most industries. There's this huge gap between the chatter you see online and what's actually happening day to day.
And the problem gets even sharper when you look at how custom and enterprise tools are being rolled out. So check this out. 60% of organizations investigate these tools. That number plummets to just 20% that even start a pilot. But the really crucial number, a tiny 5% actually implement them successfully. That's a 95% failure rate for pilots.
And this is where it gets really interesting. While all these official company-led AI projects are stalling out, there's this hidden shadow AI economy that's just booming. Look at this. A whopping 90% of employees say they're using personal AI tools for work, while only 40% of their companies even have an official subscription.
So what's the bottom line here? It's that employees are not waiting around. They're using their own $20 a month ChatGPT or Claude subscriptions to get real work done. It proves the demand and the potential are there, even if the corporate strategy is totally failing.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question. Why? Why are so many of these official AI projects failing so badly? Well, the research points to a reason that you might not expect.
It's not a lack of good models. It's not data security. It's not even legal risk, even though you hear those things blamed all the time. The data really points to something way more fundamental about the tools themselves.
And to get to that real answer, we've got to bust a few common myths that keep companies stuck. The idea that AI is already transforming business, or that model quality is the main barrier. The data just doesn't back that up.
Here's the wild part. Users often find a simple, generic tool like ChatGPT way more useful than some multi-thousand-dollar enterprise system. And why is that? It's because it's more flexible, the interface is familiar, and, frankly, the answers are just better. Those expensive tools are often described as brittle and totally misaligned with how people actually do their jobs.
But, and this is a huge but, that preference hits a wall. For quick stuff like drafting an email, sure, 70% of users prefer AI. But for complex, high-stakes work that goes on for weeks, 90% of users would much rather have a human colleague. Trust in AI just completely evaporates.
And here it is, the core issue behind this entire GenAI divide. The real barrier is a learning gap. Most AI systems today are static. They don't have a memory. They can't learn from your feedback or adapt to your specific ways of working, which is absolutely essential for any kind of mission-critical task. Okay, so enough about the problem. Let's talk solutions. How are the successful 5%, both the people building AI and the people buying it, how are they bridging this learning gap?
So what do the successful buyers actually want from a vendor? It's not about a laundry list of features. The top demands are really clear. They want a system that can improve over time, a vendor who deeply understands their workflow, and, a partner they can actually trust.
So, this table, it's basically the winning playbook for builders. The successful ones start small, right in that top left corner. They target a very narrow scope with a simple execution. Think something like contract review to get a fast, tangible win. They don't try to boil the ocean and build some massive, fully orchestrated system from day one. That's where projects go to fail.
All right, now let's flip this around and look at the buyers. The organizations that manage to cross the divide, they approach buying AI with a completely different mindset.
And I mean, the data on this is crystal clear. Partnering with external vendors who can build customized, learning-capable solutions is twice as likely to succeed as trying to build everything yourself in-house. We're talking a 66% success rate for buying versus just 33% for building it from scratch.
So what's the secret sauce for winning buyers? They act like partners, not just customers. They demand tools that are customized for their real-world processes, and they source ideas directly from the employees who are actually on the front lines doing the work. And here's a twist you might not expect. While sales and marketing get most of the AI budget and all the attention, the biggest and fastest ROI often comes from automating back-office functions. We're talking millions of dollars in annual savings.
So, for the organizations that do manage to successfully cross this divide, what comes next? The vision is so much bigger than just having better internal tools. It's really about a fundamental shift in how businesses even operate. We're moving towards something that's being called an agentic web. So picture this, a future where smart, learning AI agents can operate on their own across the internet, finding vendors, negotiating contracts, coordinating super complex workflows, all without a human in the loop. That's the ultimate payoff for bridging this learning gap.
So here's the bottom line. Crossing the divide requires a real strategic shift, from building to buying, from generic tools to learning systems. And the window to make that shift, it's closing fast. So the real question is your organization building bridges, or are you just admiring the chasm? Thanks for joining this explainer.